What's up, CHFFL? And welcome to week 5 of the 2023 season. Oh, great. I can see we're already having just a great time with something crashing through the screen there. That would be why we had a bit of a delay. Oh, it's my microphone. Okay. Okay. That actually looks kind of all right, I think. Still with the new setup, figuring everything out. How is everybody? We have another really interesting season on our hands, don't we? All right, let's get over to it. So, I wasn't here last week, and I apologize for that. We're not changing the schedule. I'm trying to still do it every week. It's just my parents were here, and normally I'll do the travel setup when I'm on the road, but I didn't want to put them through waiting for me to get everything together and go live. But maybe my team isn't dead because I was team of the week last week. Jonathan Taylor's returning. I don't know if you heard that. That is very new news, which has big impact on Stan, obviously, being patient with him, and then Grant, who's been relying on Zach Moss, although Grant's team looks very good uh, without Zach Moss with it, so I don't think it's going to hold him up, but it still is a little bit of a hit to him. And what's Bill's panic meter? Coming in as one of the favorite teams, and he's currently at 1-3. He could leave the first round robin with a 1-4 record potentially. It doesn't look like he's going to this week, but it's in the cards. So let's see. As always, please remember to tune into Two Tight Ends. Videos have been going up on a Wednesday, I think, is the schedule for this year. Quality remains very high outside of the new intro song, but it's okay. I will get over it in time, just as I got over Mark Andrews. Well, I guess not yet. Let's talk about week 4 waivers, because there's a lot to get to here, and nothing super exciting. It seems like everybody's kind of looking for that flex depth, and tight ends in particular, but not sure who to go to. We're seeing running back and tight end are two positions that just are very thin. I don't think that there are 24 running backs that you really trust, certainly not 30, and I don't think there are 10 tight ends that you trust. So Mini added Curtis Samuel for $19. It seems to be a yearly thing that Curtis Samuel starts on the waiver for the season without being drafted. He starts on waivers. And let me make 100% sure, because we've had this issue before, that I am in fact live. I should be. I've hit everything. But I can catch it this time, because I thought about it. Let's see. Am I live right now? Yeah, okay, it says I am. I just had a big freak out because, a couple of weeks ago, had where I streamed for a half an hour, and then it turned out I was never live the whole time. Anyway, so Curtis Samuel, it seems like once a year, he is gonna have some games, especially in PPR, where he has appeal, and then he gets added. Last year it was me. I added him and then traded him, and it turned out I traded him kind of at the peak, but hopefully for Mini that can add something. Bigger news for Mini is that he's getting a Cooper Cup back. Pa, $17, adds Jake Ferguson at tight end. One other bid came in at $4. Is it chasing points a little bit? Kind of feels like it. Evan Engram is available if anybody is looking for a tight end and going to be reasonable about it. I have a lot of people asking about Sam Laporta. A lot of people would like to trade for the tight end who's having an historic rookie season and I can keep in the 12th round, instead of the guy who's been about as good this year, who doesn't have any of that keeper value. So I'm just saying, if you're competing this year and you want a tight end, Evan Ingram's available. Wes, $9 for Jaleel McLaughlin, and I'm not gonna lie, when I made these slides, I had to look up who that was. He apparently is on the Broncos and is filling in for Javonte Williams while he struggles with yet another injury. I guess I wrote McLaughlin off because I don't want anything to do with anybody on the Broncos for the most part, outside of maybe Curtis Samuel being the red zone threat, or not Curtis Samuel, Cortland Sutton, same initials, being the red zone threat. Wes was the only bid on McLaughlin, who could be in for a bell cow role this week. So it's surprising he kind of flew under the radar. Good pickup for Wes there when people are desperate for running backs. CJ Stroud went to Mark for $6. Another bid came in at 4. Of course, the two tight ends. Grant predicted this. He said somebody's going to be owning CJ Stroud here coming up. And right, he was. Absolutely. Other pickups for a little lesser amount: Josh Dobbs, Brock Purdy, Cole Kmet, again another tight end. I think it was Grant who picked up Kmet. And then on Thursday, I spent $7 on Chuba Hubbard. I don't care if it's Chuba. His name looks like it rhymes. It should be Chuba Hubbard. His parents messed up if they didn't do that. Anyway, I picked him up on Thursday. Got more carries than Miles Sanders last week. Not exciting offense, not exciting situation, not exciting talent, but I am really desperate. Khalil Herbert took an injury on Thursday and I think is going to miss a couple of weeks. Of course, Roshan's also injured, had a concussion protocol, but it was a Thursday game, so maybe he's cleared and he can play and be a bit of a bell cow, but boy, do I need a running back too. Anyway, let's get into predictions. Week 4, I went 3-3, and as I said in Discord, 13-11 on the season. Can't be very happy with that, but it's been an unpredictable year. I mean, both our league as a whole has been unpredictable, and individual performances have been unpredictable. There have been a lot of big boom games from people we may not have been expecting to have boom games, and I think that's good. It makes everything a little more interesting, particularly if you're someone like me who's down at the bottom in terms of talent. I missed on Marty the first week. I didn't pick him in the year of Marty, but that's fine. He needed a little bit of the pressure taken off. The year of Marty is still a thing, and I missed on Grant over Max by a large amount. Grant at 4-0 now, and I missed on Wes, as I said, over Bill. Bill tied for the bottom of the league going into the last week of the first round robin of inter-conference play. Not a good spot for him, and he plays me this week coming off of a team of the week. I broke a 42-week streak of not being team of the week. 42 weeks. Well over 2 full seasons. And it was in the game of the week I highlighted with Parker. Basically my last stand to stay alive, and I really probably need to pick up the win this week. Speaking of, let us go over to our browser views. Oh, move me up a little. Make me a little smaller. And then bring up Fantasy Pros. Perfect. All right. Are we going to start with me? I feel like we always start with me when I do the live streams because ESPN defaults to my game. Who's going to be a game of the week? That's the question. I think it's going to have to be Parker again. I'm kind of off of the whole alternating which conference gets game of the week. I'm just going with the most interesting one. Oh goodness, the Bills are losing 11-0 to Jacksonville. We have one of the stupid Europe games happening right now. That's not a good sign, although for Bill, I guess that's good. Maybe it'll be a shootout. The Bills defense can score really low and Josh Allen can hopefully throw a whole bunch of touchdowns and trying to come back. Let's start with New Walker Order versus D-Generation Eckler. Swan against Bannis and Jason. ESPN right now has this projected to be a blowout. Swan projected at 141. Nobody had anybody in the Thursday game. Right now, Bannis has Calvin Ridley playing against Buffalo over in, I assume, London. Yeah. You know what I think about playing the games in other countries. But plenty of time there for Ridley to get a little more than his current 3.8. His catch in 14 yards, he must have gotten something on the ground. I don't think he returns kicks. So he must have done something on a jet sweep. That's good. Antonio Gibson, Thursday, 10.4, finally showing signs of life. I'm holding him in my family league, so that's good to know. Otherwise, Swan has benched Joe Burrow as of right now. And in the matchup with Joe Burrow, he's starting Joshua Dobbs. Derrick Henry has bounced back and appears to be as strong as he's always been. Jefferson, of course, huge advantage there for Swan. Swan with the new name. Fantasy Pros has him at a 99 for the week. Bannis down at 82. Not going to spend too much time on this. This is an overpowered matchup, and if Bannis were to get a win, it would be a huge upset. Meanwhile, I need to get my prediction record up, so I'm going to take Swan, and we're just going to move along. Let's go over to another similar situation. 2 sacks and a Ric Flair versus Marty's New Age Outlaws. Of course, the year of Marty cannot be stopped. Mini coming in on a 2 consecutive loser of the week situation. How many is he going to go for consecutively? Well, right now he's projected for more points than I am, I'm pretty sure. But ESPN has this currently projected at a 40-plus point blowout. Trevor Lawrence has put up 9.14 points in the first half against the Bills. Got to be happy with that. DJ Moore, 54 points on Thursday. DJ Moore truthers finally get one huge game. I guess I didn't realize. Do people think that Washington's decent? I don't know. I guess I haven't been paying attention. I thought that was considered to be a good matchup to play against that defense, but maybe I was wrong. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see if Moore can keep it up or if the Bears go back to being abysmal next week. But that performance alone, see, this is what I'm saying about this season. 54 points from a guy who previously, I guess he had 27 last week, but he started the year with 4.5, 16, 13, 54. What do you do with that? How many 40 plus point fantasy performances have we seen? And it feels like it's an uptick from previous seasons. Trevor Lawrence must have just completed another big pass because as I'm sitting here talking about this game, he's putting up more points. Over on the other side, though, Minnie benefiting from that because Zay Jones has Lawrence's touchdown pass. James Cook, nothing so far. Gabe Davis, very little so far. A lot of players playing right now for this matchup. Again, though, I need to boost my numbers, and when I have something that's one-sided like this, we see Fantasy Pros with New Age Outlaws at a 93, 2 sacks, and a Ric Flair at 86. Interesting to me, Fantasy Pros has it that close, although they, of course, don't account for the Thursday games, so that it's not accounting for the 54 points Moore scored. Let's say he's projected at 15, you're getting a 30-point differential there, so I can understand that. Still taking Marty, year of Marty, never given up until I have to on that. Let's move over to our last game in the Attitude Era Conference, and Stan, who is tuning in and luckily did not miss his own prediction, -5 points because he started the Commanders' defense on Thursday, which I understand, and it doesn't make what I said about them not being a great defense true or false, because it seemed like a good matchup, right? Justin Fields, terrible quarterback, good at running, but just found a way to make it work. Got DJ Moore open about 37 times, and Stan sitting on a -5. Tyler Bass, with the Bills getting shut out, currently has no points. We're down to 6.5 minutes left in the first half there. Over on the other side, Mark, can you Diggs it, Sucka? Already has Diggs at 3.8, and you can expect the Bills to be throwing a lot in the second half. That could go up quite a bit. And field goals, probably not going to do it for them with the deficit unless they score here. I don't have the game on. But so far, that is not looking like a good pace for Stan. Bills have taken the ball, must be on offense. Otherwise, big question here, of course. Where is he? Jonathan Taylor in at the flex. ESPN has been projected at 15 points this week. Is he on some sort of a pitch count? I don't know, but either way, Stan just added another bell cow to go with Swift, who already was great value in the draft, and Pollard, Tyreek Hill. I mean, I understand that the defense probably got 13 points fewer than you were expecting, but I don't understand this projection for Stan. It should be higher. The way Hill just can take over at any point, like, ugh. But again, it's tough. ESPN 20.6 points seems pretty generous but he's gone 45, 15, 35, 10. So the question is, are you going to get 10 to 15 or are you going to get 35 plus from Hill? And legitimately, he could score 50 points in any week. Now, it doesn't look like Diggs is going to have a 50-point game unless something goes absolutely wild. Jamar Chase, we're, of course, always watching if he's going to be able to turn things around a little bit. I mean, he has. He's been a good fantasy player, but he hasn't been Jamar Chase by any means. He hasn't been Tyreek Hill by any means. So I guess my whole point is this is a lot closer than Fantasy Pros having Mark at a 100 here and Stan at a 96. And again, that's the Thursday game. So I think Fantasy Pros is still a lot closer than ESPN. Now, who to take here? Got Hawkinson against Kansas City. Higbee, Philadelphia. How does Higbee do with Cooper Kupp coming back? Higbee already hasn't been the best start. So that's an advantage to Mark. Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers. I don't know. I like Flowers this week against the Steelers. I think 12.2 is pretty easy to hit. Ryan, I don't know about that. Mark not starting Dalvin Cook anymore. I guess hoping that Ryan's going to take more than the McLaughlin guy that Wes got in waivers, and that's why I just don't want anything to do with that Broncos backfield if Williams is going to be hurt. Barely wanted anything to do with it when Williams was in. I like Stan. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the projection, and everything is saying to take Mark. I like Stan this week, man. I like just the chances here. I think Pollard, 11 points against New England, I think that was mostly a game script kind of thing. I think San Francisco, that could be a close game. He could get a ton of work. I just like the odds of one of Pollard, Swift, Hill, JT absolutely going off. Now that I'm seeing Diggs is a good bit into the game and it doesn't seem like he's putting up a huge score. I like Stan here. I'm taking Stan. There you go. Also, he's here in the chat and I don't see Mark, and that gives bonus points. All right, let's move over to the Fantasy Heart and Soul Conference. I said game of the week is going to be Grant versus Parker. It's going to have to be. There's just too much on the line there. Although it also could be this game. Wes's Psy Ducks against Max's Soul Brothers. ESPN has this as a deadlock, and nobody's played yet. Nobody's playing right now in the Europe game. Fantasy Pros has the Wes at a 95 and Max at a 93. So honestly, this could be your game of the week. But I'm going to stick with my instinct that it's going to be Grant against Parker. This is a good one. Let's see. Patrick Mahomes versus Anthony Richardson. Richardson becoming that Konami code style quarterback that people were hoping he'd be, scoring 30.6 last week. Max has a gem there. Max has a keeper there. Where did he draft? In the 10th round. So he's an 8th round pick. That could be Max's quarterback for the next few years, even though he used the keeper on Herbert. Brees off the pitch count. Theoretically, this is where Wes starts to see that value come in, hopefully, because it hasn't really been there to date. Josh Jacobs back to performing better. James Conner, I still like that. I still like that over McLaughlin there. Now we get down to the wide receivers, and Waddle has been a bit of a disappointment, considering especially how explosive Miami's offense has been, that he hasn't really been the beneficiary of it whatsoever. So I put that advantage over at A.J. Brown. Garrett Wilson, again, it's all about quarterback play, although 9.8 is his lowest score on the season. So he seems to have a much better floor, even with Zach Wilson at quarterback, than Pickens does. So the pattern I'm seeing here is outside of Mahomes over Richardson, which is not that big of a separation anymore. I'm liking Max on a lot of these, but now we get down Adams versus Jalen Warren is a huge blowout in Wes's favor. What's this injury Adams is dealing with? Shoulder. Oh, stinks being questionable going into Monday. It seems like he's gonna play though. Reading that little blurb, you just you hate having questionable going into Monday with limited practice on Saturday, because you could be on a pitch count. I'm still big advantage to West there, but more questions than there normally would be. Now the Jets D, both of them are streaming against great offenses to stream against this year. Although I just could always see the Giants. The Giants were a playoff team last year, and I mean I've been trying to understand this because I honestly thought Daniel Jones was going to take another step forward this year, and he just hasn't. And it seems like a lot of it is injuries to the offensive line and cohesion therein. I mean, the average time of rushers to the quarterback for the Giants is insanely bad. So, but that's something that could improve as the season goes along. So I like this Jets against the Broncos more. Jets D is great. Broncos are a great matchup. This is toughy. This is toughy. Mark pointed out that and I should be bringing this up every week. I'll try to every time that they play. I'll try to remember in the second half of the season. But historically, Mark has absolutely dominated Stan. But I'm trying to focus in on put all of that aside. That stuff for the media. Well, I guess I am the media. That stuff for more clickbaity media to talk about. I'm digging into the facts here, and I still like Stan. Mark, you were a little late to comment. Here, I like Max. I like Max here, and I missed on Max last week, and I missed on Wes last week. But just looking at the teams on paper, I like Max to take this one. All right, now let's go talk at these 1 and 3. Good. Josh Allen actually is doing a little bit here. Right now we're at 22.2 to 8.5. Bills, Kim Chiago Bears against Derek and my Busan paper ballots. Oh, where's my beautiful little thumbnail? There we are. Korea, of course, is the gold standard for voting practices worldwide, using paper ballots, in-person voting, voter ID, no machines, and everything is always counted that night. Even though Seoul has a larger population than New York City, they have no problem getting all the counting done. You're not waiting days to figure out. That is what the name is about, if anybody has not heard the spiel already. Now, Allen playing right now, the Bills playing right now, and I kind of touched on this earlier. Bills are going to have to throw to get back into this one. It's at the 2-minute warning. The Bills have the ball. I'm obviously hoping for a shootout there. I'm hoping Jacksonville can put up more points on the Bills defense, knock Bills score down a little bit, and Allen have another 30 or so point game. Obviously, he's not there right now. Everybody was disappointed here Thursday. Roshan getting into the concussion protocol was obviously not good. He posted his lowest score of the season, but Robinson and McLaurin both being under 10 points keeps me in this game a little bit. Fields being on the bench, thanks for that, Bill. Big help. And seems like he eventually went with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. And they play Kansas City, so that could be a good pick for him. He's had a really hard time getting the quarterback choices right. Evan Engram, 5.2 points in the first half. Looks like he's on his way to yet another 10-point performance. Lowest so far this season is 9.9. He is the 4th ranked tight end in the league, and he is available, and a lot of people are struggling at tight end. You don't have to try and trade for my guy who has keeper value for years because it's very hard to put a value on such a player. All right, let's get into the rest of this. I saw Jahmyr Gibbs is doubtful for the Lions game, which means Monty in store for another bell cow kind of a day. Ramondre Stevenson been disappointing for Bill over there. Ayuk, though, has been very good and is something close to a wide receiver one. Right now, I have Nico Collins and Tank Dell in the lineup. And Chad, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I normally don't like starting two receivers from the same team. The alternative is Jerry Jeudy. I don't like starting him against the Jets. And Chris Godwin, of course, on bye is forcing me into this predicament. Saquon Barkley looks like Bill is not going to go with him at this point. Having already started Brian Robinson, it kind of limits what he can do there. DK Metcalf on a bye is helpful to me. Christian Watson, I need a big game from him. I need him to be the dude. I need him, and of course that's his potential, right? CHFFL gives bonus points to long touchdowns. And Watson can score long touchdowns, so I need a little bit of that this week. I'm probably going to stick with the two Houston wide receivers and hope one of them has a big enough day to make up for the other one having not a big day. Worst thing that could happen is that this is John Mechie's coming out experience day and he has his biggest game of his career. That would just be terrible. The Bills have entered the red zone. That's good. Run it in for a touchdown, Allen. You don't have to throw it. Who to pick here? This is really an important game. For me, my roster's not as strong as Bill's. It's about survival. For Bill, it's about you have this really strong roster, but at some point, if you're 1-4, you're really risking that, you can come back from it. No matter how good your roster is, you got to win. And Allen just threw for a touchdown, puts our ESPN projections just about even. And of course, the Bills defense only going to go down a little bit from here. Fantasy Pros had Bill 8 points above me in their projection system to start the week. The way things are going, this is a dead even game, and I'm going to send my boys all the positivity I can, even though my gut tells me that Bill probably still takes this one. But I'm going to pick myself to win because I want to keep competing this year, and I don't want to have to go fully into sell mode. Now, on to our game of the week. Grant's surprising K-pop Kings, and they are indeed kings at 4-0 versus Parker's Gyeongbokgung Royalty. 2-2. Parker not happy with that, but this is a chance to knock Grant down a peg and go into interleague play in a good position. Grant has ETN and Kincaid going in the game right now. ETN with 6.1 points. Kincaid only one catch for 5 yards in the first half. I like Kincaid. I like his talent. And I think the Bills like him. And he's obviously a part of the game plan. He's just not a very big part right now. And I just don't see him becoming the 1B to Diggs at any point in the near future. I think it's that team is just Diggs and then evenly spread among everybody else. Jalen Hurts versus Tua Tagovailoa. Hurts got to give the leaning over there. Bijan, though, 6.1.5 for ETN's fine, but you like Bijan in that matchup. Kamara looked good last week. 23.4 points in his, as soon as he came back from his slap on the wrist for, kicking that man when he was down, while a bunch of his buddies also physically assaulted and battered him. So, there you go. Don't bet on a basketball game, though. Najee Harris, on the other hand, has been disappointing, although he did get 13.3 last week. There's always something about being the bell cow that your floor is going to be all right. Thielen versus Hopkins. Not feeling much there either way. Cortland Sutton, I said, is the only Bronco I'd want to have because he seems to be the guy Wilson's looking for in the red zone. But Puka, I still think Puka, it doesn't matter. that Cooper Kupp's here. I expect Puka to get 8+ targets, and in our full PPR league, 14.7 points is generous on the low side. I mean, you have a guy who's got 21, 30, 12, 31 as a rookie. He's averaging 24, and you project him at 15. Project him higher. He's going to get the projection should be 20 points. And I could not say the same for. Now Parker rolling with Jake Ferguson. Again, I think that might be chasing points a little bit, but we'll see. I mean, Dallas's season is just weird because their defense is so incredible. I mean, 3.1, I think his average game probably comes out closer to 6. 7 catches last week, I just think was an anomaly, but we'll see. We'll see. Defenses, you got the Chiefs against Minnesota and the Lions against Carolina. I gotta like the Lions there because Carolina's just such a train wreck. Tough one. I'm rolling with Grant. I think that Grant has magic this year. I mean, I don't like the depth very much. Do I want to take that back? No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm going to stick with that. I know Bijan and Alvin Kamara are an advantage. Oh, ETN, while I've been sitting here talking, has gone up to 11.3 without a score, so he must be getting some check down throws. That's making me feel better about this already. Yeah, I'm going with Grant for the game of the week. It'll be 2 weeks in a row Parker has lost game of the week, if I'm correct. And that'll put him in a rough spot, too. Imagine going into interleague play, Parker and Bill, 2 of our most stacked teams from at least a preview perspective, coming in at 2-3 and 1-4. Or at best, 2-3 and 2-3. It's something. This year is crazy. I thank you guys for joining me. Let me check. It looks like we got a lot of chat here. Parker said, Tooney over Judy. Tony. I don't know. I don't think I would start Kadarius Toney over Judy, but I get the joke. Mark Diggs touchdown. I can change my pick. Let me go back. It'll be the first time I've ever changed a pick on the live stream. Yeah, but see, Tyler Bass got 1 point. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah. It looks a lot different now. It looks a lot different now. I'm sorry, Stan. My record's too bad. Okay, I'm going to switch it, and hopefully I remember next week when I go over my record that I switched it. Yeah, I think Mark's going to take it. Parker, I'm telling you who else you're going to start. Not this week, obviously, but you're going to trade me for Evan Ingram because he is just... all those points on my bench are starting to weigh on my shoulders. Yeah, Stan, I hope that you can overcome, but I'm chasing wins right now. And that's going to be it for me. I really fell off my little sign-off phrase. So my advice is going to be, don't create a sign-off phrase and stop coming up with examples of it, and don't start any Thursday players in your flex, which Max did. I wasn't live last week, but he did it in the Dynasty League against me. We'll see you next week. Good luck, everybody.